Sensational Saturday. It's your boy Hawke here with some more Talk and Squawk. And on this Saturday, I'm going to chop it up with y'all about the fight that broke out at the Kingdom Hall in September of 2007. So I'm going to chop it up with y'all about that story. Now, at this time, I was going to the Northeast congregation. You know, once I married my J-Dub spouse, I was going to the Northeast congregation for about a year and a half, from March of 2006 till, September of 2007, after the fight broke up. Now, as I've stated before, I'm from West Philly and grew up going to the West Park congregation in West Philadelphia. So, of course, all of my closest J-Dub associates were from West Philly. So even though I had moved up to the Northeast section of Philadelphia, was going to the Northeast congregation, I was still real tight with all of my West Philly peoples. You know, that didn't stop me, though, from gaining a new set of friends from Northeast. And, you know, we'd play basketball, you know, go bowling. You know what I mean? Basically, like the same stuff I was doing with my West Philly crew. You know, when I would link everybody together, I would get my West Philly homies and my Northeast homies, and we would all, you know what I mean, wing up and shoot hoops, go bowling, you know, go to, J-Dubs call them gatherings, but parties, events, wherever, you know, like I bridged everybody together. Now, my cousin, he was living up in Harrisburg at the time. He had moved up there when he got married. Him and my other homie, they had moved up to Harrisburg. But they would come back and forth to Philly here and there, or sometimes me and my homies, we would go up there. But anyway, my cousin was like, we should get together a basketball game. It'll be, you know what I mean, West Philly versus Northeast. So it'd be me and my West Philly homies versus my Northeast homies. Because my cousin Sheaf, you know what I mean, he was the best ball player out of the West Philly crew. But in my Northeast Philly crew, my man Maurice, you know what I mean, he was just as good a ball player as my cousin. Like, they both could have went pro if it wasn't for that cope. So anyway, we would all get together, we would play basketball. Most of the time, West Philly won. My Northeast homies would feel some kind of way, like, damn, I know you from West E, but... And I was like, all right, sometimes I would play with my Northeast homies and we would get a couple wins. But one day, we was all playing. I'm playing with my West Philly crew against my Northeast crew. So, oh man, this is a funny ass story. This is how the event started that led up to the fight at the Kingdom Hall. So, my homie Sean, he is from West Philly, but I got introduced to the Northeast congregation originally through him when he had got married and moved up that, and they started going to that congregation. It just so happened that the broad I married was going to that congregation. And even though I didn't meet her through Sean, I met her through another one of my homies. They had already known each other before we got together. So anyway, my young boy Sean, West Philly, we're beating my Northeast crew. We're beating them real good this game. So my homie Sean, he starts talking a whole lot of trash, whatever. He was clowning one of my Northeast homies, Derek. Derek was a younger guy. He was about 17. Sean was about 20 going on 21 at the time. And Sean was a real big dude. Derek wasn't little, but he wasn't as big as Sean. He was a pretty stocky young boy. He could fight. He didn't take no shit from nobody. And he would get busy if it came to it. Like I stated before, I didn't roll with no J-Dubs who weren't about getting busy if the situation called for it. I ain't never roll with no punk ass individuals. But anyway, Sean's running off at the mouth and he's really targeting Derek for some reason. There must have been an earth sign thing because Sean's a Taurus and Derek was a Virgo. So, those are already bullheaded signs. So they're talking smack, they're going back and forth. They almost come to blows a couple of times and we all, preventing them from fighting, but they're still running off at the mouth, whatever. Now at this time, Sean, and his wife, they was going through whatever and they had split up. But Sean was back in West Philly, and he had went back to West Park congregation. But sometimes him, my little cousin Scrappy, and a couple of other homies, they would come up to the Northeast on Sunday. We would go to the Sunday meeting because we had the 9:30 meeting on Sunday at this time. So we would go to the meeting, and then after that we would go back to the crib, change, go play ball. We would go our separate ways, get showered, whatever, throw on some fresh clothes. Then we would go out bowling later. Because this was at the time when, going bowling every Sunday night, when they had the dollar bowling up at Thunderbird in the Northeast, that was like a J-Dub ritual in the 2000s. Like every Sunday, dollar bowling, we would go there, we would bowl 10 frames. That was our thing on Sundays. Then after that, we might hit a after hour or go back to somebody's crib. Drink, smoke, play video games, do other grown-up shit. But anyway, that was the plan for this Sunday. After the hall, we was going to go shoot some hoops. Then later on that night, we was going to go bowling as usual. So Sean, he's still talking trash to Derek. And they're about to fight again, this time at the hall. But me and Scrappy, we was like, nah. Like, Scrappy took Sean his way. I took Derek his way. Like, man, ain't going to be none of that. This is just a friendly competition amongst spiritual brothers, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know what went wrong between the time that Derek left with his mom and sister, but about a half hour later, Derek calls me talking all this shit, talking about, oh, you and your bitch ass West Philly homies, like, y'all don't want no smoke. I'm not one of these other Northeast cats. I'm from North Philly Badlands. And I'm like, yo, young boy, like, what's this all about? Tell me, I know you gonna take up for Sean because that's your homie. Y'all came up together. Blah. I was like, nah, you know what I mean? I admit, Sean got a big mouth. He talks a lot of shit. You know what I mean? And I told him to chill. I said, yeah, I've known him all his life, but I was going to let y'all get into it. I mean, and you was talking shit to him too. He was like, nah, if y'all really want to smoke, I'll show y'all smoke. He just started running his mouth. Then his mom, his sister, was in the background hyping him up. But I should have known because his mom was the instigating type anyway, like always gassing him up and, you know what I mean, putting shit in his head. So he started talking shit. So I'm like, man, you know what I mean? Young boy, go ahead, because he was a minor. So I just hung up on him. Then that Tuesday, because at this time, the Theocratic Ministry School and Service meeting was on Tuesday, and the book study was on Thursday. So that Tuesday at the meeting, like him, his mom, and sister, they're staring me down, giving me these evil, weird ass looks, and I'm like, man, whatever. So I ain't say nothing. So Thursday at the book study, because we always in the same book study group. Thursday, same thing. Giving me these weird looks, whatever. So, you know what I mean? But they ain't say nothing. But that Sunday, because at this time, like, I had a gut feeling that they was going to be on some dumb shit. So, you know what I mean? I came prepared. You know what I mean? I always kept the strap in my briefcase. That just was me, you know what I mean? I never thought I would need it, you know what I mean? And in this case, I still didn't need it, but I just always had my little buddy nearby just in case, you know what I mean, situation got a little sparky. But, you know what I mean, Sunday was the same routine. You know what I mean, my West Philly homies, they came up. After that, we was going to go play ball, but we was supposed to be playing ball against these cats from over the Tacony Bridge right there in Jersey. Because at this time, like, once that shit happened between Sean and Derek, a lot of my other Northeast homies that we would all play ball with started acting funny, all but like two of them. You know what I mean? My man Danny and my other homie Dave that I did a video on a while back. But like they was, at this time, they was kind of like the only two from the Northeast that I was still rocking with. Cause you know what I mean? Cause whatever him and his mom and sister went telling everybody, all the other cats from Northeast started, you know what I mean, acting kind of funny at that point. Cause that Tuesday I was like, y'all trying to play ball, and they was like, yeah, but that Friday a couple of them hit me up and was like, nah, you know what I mean, I gotta do such and such, just these lame ass excuses. So I'm like, man, whatever, it is what it is. But we were supposed to be playing ball with these cats from Jersey anyway that Sunday. So that was the plan for that Sunday. We were supposed to go to the meeting. Then after that, we was going to go back to the crib, change into our ball shit, then shoot over the Tacony Palmyra Bridge. You know what I mean? Play ball. Then we were supposed to be going bowling later that night. So this Sunday, like I said, I already had a gut feeling that some shit was about to transpire. Now, remind you, too, this is at the time where I was going through the whole separation shit with my J-Dub spouse. Like, we was separated at this time. And I was living back in West Philly. But I was still, at the time, going to Northeast because I really didn't want to go back to West Park because of everything that went down when I left. And I didn't really want to hear the, "Oh, I told you so," from the elders there that tried to do everything to prevent me from getting married in the first place. So anyway, that Sunday, we're at the hall. I have my cousin Scrappy, Sean, you know what I mean, my homie Jeffrey, they was with me. They came up. And then after the meeting, we was going to go pick up my homie Donnie. But anyway, during the meeting, you know what I mean, Derek, his mom and sister, they still giving us these nasty looks, whatever. Ain't really sweating it. Now remind you, not only am I dealing with them giving us looks, but I also got my soon-to-be ex-wife there giving me weird-ass looks. Remind you, this chick already tried to get a restraining order on me and tried to play victim that, oh, she was so terrified of being around me. So I'm trying to avoid her, and I'm trying to steer clear of Derek and his people because I know they're gaslighting individuals. So anyway, we spend most of the watchtower outside, me and the homies. So after the meeting, Derek, his mom and sister, they're leaving. They're walking towards the parking lot exit because they only lived a couple blocks from the hall, so they would walk to and from the meetings. So me, Sean, and Scrappy, we're standing there like Jeffrey was talking to somebody that he knew from one of the other congregations, because this is the triplex. There was 3 Kingdom Halls in that building, like 3 different Kingdom Hall buildings with a total of like 9 congregations. But Jeffrey worked with somebody from one of the other congregations, so he was talking to him. Anyway, me, Scrappy, and Sean, we're standing like not too far from the exit. Derek, his mom and sister walked by. His mom just elbowed Sean, like for no reason. You know how you brush past somebody and you accidentally elbow them? But she did that shit on purpose. You know what I mean? Knowing Sean was going to react. So Sean was like, "What's up with the?" He was like, "What's up, lady? You can't say excuse me." He said, "You lucky I'm trying to be a Christian, otherwise I smack you." Derek turned around so quick and stormed straight at Sean. He's like, "You ain't going to do nothing to my mom, blah, blah, blah." And Sean was like, "Your mom started with me, blah, blah, blah." They start arguing. This time I ain't jumping in it. Next thing I know, Sean just two-pieced the ba-ba. You know what I mean? Derek's fell back a little bit. Then as Derek's rushing him, his mom and sister, they all just start jumping Sean. Like scratching him, smacking him with their purses and all that. Then next thing I know, a car speeds into the lot. And like 3 dudes jump out. And these was their peoples, Derek and peoples. And before I finish that part, when the shit first happened the Sunday before, after Derek was talking this little shit, he had his old head call my phone. Now this dude wasn't a witness, so I guess he thought I was supposed to get scared because he had an actual worldly person call me talking shit. So I let him know, like, "Homie, if you want the smoke, bring it." So this was who sped up in a car and jumped out. and he had two of his homies with him. You know what I mean? As soon as they jump out, they run over. You know what I mean? Me and Scrappy, we fighting them. You know what I mean? Scrappy's fighting the smallest one, but the dude that called talking shit, him and the other dude, like, I'm fucking both of them up. You know what I mean? Like, all that karate and kung fu shit my brother taught me, you know what I mean? I put that to full use that day. Like, we're trashing them. You know what I mean? Then, because my bag was right there. So, after I drop them, I go to my bag. I pull the strap out like, what? Man, they scatter like cockroaches. They got in a car and peeled out the lot so quick that they damn near caused an accident. So, you know, by this time, the fight's been broken up. You know what I mean? Sean and Derek, they're cussing at each other. Like, members from all three congregations are just standing around and shot. So, next thing I know, the elders from my congregation, they pull me, Sean, and Scrappy. They pull us into this little wooden shed or whatever the fuck it was to talk to us, telling us, don't come back on the premises, because everybody made it like we was the antagonists, but we weren't. And they was telling me, like, well, since you and your wife are going through y'all separation or whatever, and y'all have restraining orders on each other, there's no need for you to even be on the premises. Plus, you're living back in West Philly anyway. And I was like, cool. And that was the last time I stepped foot on those premises. But that was the talk of J-Dub Nation, especially in Philly. But we had peoples down south, out on the West Coast, like, news got around about that fight. I had people from the West Coast calling me, telling me, was like, yo, I heard y'all was scrapping at the Kingdom Hall. You had a gun. I was like, yeah, but I wasn't going to shoot nobody. I basically just pulled it out to scare them. I had already fucked them up, but I didn't know what they were carrying, so I had to let it be known. But I'm not just some punk ass witness that goes to the Kingdom Hall. So yeah, word got around about that. So I spent the last portion of my J-Dub era back at the West Park congregation. You know, me and Nika, we never got back together. You know what I mean? We hooked up a couple times later on that year. She thought it was going to lead to something, but mentally, emotionally, like, I was done with her at that point. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was the end of my reign at the Northeast congregation, and majority of the cats that I was friends with, you know what I mean, that was the end of that. Even though it was still my homie Donnie and Davey, we still hung out or whatever, but those were the only two cats from up there that, oh, and can't forget my man Kev. But those was the only cats from Northeast that I still dealt with after that point. You know what I mean? At that point, oh, and a few of the sisters that went to the congregation up there, you know, shout out to the Jackson sisters. It was 5 of them. You know, we used to all hang out. We would go bowling, smoke weed, whatever, but eventually that kind of died down too. Oh, one more thing. After the fight and after we left the premises, we went over to the Jackson's house because they too lived right down the street from the Kingdom Hall, so they used to walk. So we went over there after everything was said and done. We're telling them what happened, whatever. Why is my soon-to-be ex-wife ride by that area like 10 different times? No exaggeration. The first time she rolled by, I ain't really think nothing of it because I'm like, that's the way she would drive to go home anyway. But then she rolled by again. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. You know what I mean? And after the first couple times, I ain't say nothing. But this Scrap peeped it too. He was like, yo. And I was like, yeah, like, something's wrong with her. So next thing you know, she's telling Sister Jackson, the girl's mom, about how I'm this and that, and she just gave her a hard time, so she didn't want her daughters hanging out with me no more. You know what I mean? But they still wanted to hang out with me, so when we would all go out, they would tell their mom that they was hanging with Scrappy and Sean, and that I wasn't there. Otherwise, their mom would give them a real hard time because nigga had them real shook. They know that she would make a real big scene for nothing. And I mean, who wants to deal with that, honestly? But you know, that was really the end of my dealings with majority of my Northeast peoples. You know, when I seen Sean a few years ago, he had a nerve to tell me that all of that was my fault because I didn't put my young boy in check. I said, dog, like, to be honest, you was the one that started the situation and you took it too far. You know what I mean? If anything's my fault, it's my fault for not telling your dumb ass to chill when you was older than him and should have been setting a better example. But you know, it is what it is. That's all the past. Now there's a little Hawke, Talk, and Squawk for y'all. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And stay tuned for more of Hawke's Talk and Squawk. Hawke out.